Welcome everybody to another episode of the Paisycord Podcast. I am your host. I am not Crown. I'm Shnoork. We messed up the
You
we
messed
messed
it
up
up
the tags
again.
today. No, I didn't mess it up again. It was right before, but then it got messed up when you joined in. I'm not blaming you, but like it's kind of your
Yeah,
fault.
I've gotten a lot of it anyway.
Oops. Okay. So, I am your host, Shnork, as you can see by the now correct name tag. Also joining me today, right above me there, that is our good man, Foophy the dad, with his little tiny Foofy daughter down there in the back. Over there in the top left, that's Crown. You all know Crown, previously co-owner of Paisycord, also big Aegis main. So Crown is going to be
Yes.
with us like on two fronts today. Crown's going to be talking to us like, oh, I can talk Peach and I can talk Aegis. So very good resource there. And also finally joining us is Shasta. Shasta helps moderate the Aegiscord, and Shasta also knows a lot about this character, evidenced by how much Shasta has been sharing in the JMU chat throughout the week. So yeah, no, I think we have a top-notch team here today. I think we're ready to talk about this matchup. Does anyone have any like initial thoughts, by the way?
I don't know what initial thoughts you're asking here. Whether there
I
may
only
be a
said that so I
question
could
or
drink my tea
something.
because my tea's going cold. It was a stall tactic, just to
Oh, okay.
peek
Uh,
behind the curtain there.
Uh, Unironically, I'm gonna get us out of the way because I'm gonna get the bias. We're gonna.
Oh, I know
oh
you're
no,
biased.
oh no, Shasta bias. Here we
Let's hear
go.
it.
I've
I
seen it
think
all.
there is top two at worst, and easily the best character in the game. I think they lose a single matchup. Um, and I think they go even with like five characters, and that's personal. I made a actual realistic matchup chart that I think is more reasonable. But yeah, no, this character's broken, and people still underestimate them because lol edge guard.
Well,
Um,
I'll tell you this as a pessimist, as an Aegis pessimist, personally for me, because Aegis and Sephiroth's another character like this, where people kind of like pop off about Sephiroth. This character's so good. This character's insane. These characters came out in quarantine. It is much harder to kind of gauge how these characters perform and how these characters play in the circumstances that we've had. So like I think it's very much too soon to say things like, "Oh, this character's like top 2," or "Oh, this character's trash. This character's not nearly as good as everyone says." But that being said, I can see where you're coming from. I can see where that opinion would come from because she has some really busted mechanics. She has
So
insane advantage. She has foresight. Yeah, no, like this character is really good. This character is obviously really good in neutral. But I think the main thing why I wouldn't say top two is she has foresight, which is literally a top two mechanic. Like being able to say no to disadvantage is essentially what makes a top tier a top tier. If you're top tier, you have a
Master
character who
Rush.
has a strong neutral, strong advantage, and that disadvantage state, which is supposed to be really bad for everybody in the game, you can just skip that if you feel like it. So that's what makes it like a top two character for me personally. Like you look at Pikachu with quick attack, for example. That's why most people say Pikachu's number one. It's because quick attack, you can just invalidate any disadvantage state. The problem with Aegis is when she's off stage, that's really, 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 really bad disadvantage state. So I feel like you need to balance that. Like if you can, I've just said like, oh, she has foresight, which is a frame two escape option in any circumstance basically, and
mhm.
it's super busted and crazy, but you got to balance the good with the bad, So it's a bit soon to call that type of thing, but I think it is important to get that bias out of the way, to come out right at the top of the show and say, hey, I think Aegis is top two. I respect
Can,
that.
can I say something?
By all means.
I
I've been
actually,
cutting you off this whole time. Go ahead.
I actually agree with Shasta. I think they're top three. I think they're top three. I think they're really damn good. I think they like at most only lose maybe like two matchups in the game, two or three, but I still think they're top three for sure.
Yeah, no, and like by all means, I can see where it's coming from, but it's the type of thing I would like to wait for. We have Bonsai Rice in chat saying that Shasta smells stinky and goodbye.
Yep.
Of
Thought I'd
course,
share.
Bonsai already has to throw it.
Well, with that being said, let's why don't we get into we've established the smell in the room. Let's get into
But
this JMU a little bit. So we might as well start with our typical weekly model. We can start with neutral. So like, why don't we have Shasta or Crown, either one of you? Why don't we have you guys break down Aegis neutral for us?
So my Pyra is garbage. I'm gonna be upfront when I say
You know
this
what?
because
Yeah.
my
How about we start
is
with
it,
that? Is why don't you tell us when would you go Pyra and when would you go Mythra and neutral? I think that's a really good, important distinction to make in the beginning.
I say my Pyra is trash initially because like you're not gonna see it if you ever were to play someone like me because I rely mostly on Mythra even for kills and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But for Pyra specifically, her neutral is good in two situations. Against bigger bodies, they can't escape Blazing End on shield. If you try to roll out of it, their rolls are too slow and they get hit by the Blazing End, so you can pretty much just spam that move mindlessly, which you should do if against big bodies. Like, I think it's Ridley, Bowser, and D3 all can't escape a Blazing End on their shield. Um, and
You were saying that they get shield poked, right?
yeah, if they
Yeah,
were
they do.
if they ever try to roll out a shield or spot dodge it, they get hit anyway because they're too fat. Like it's just the unfortunate truth of the characters. And certain characters like Ridley and D3, Bowser's shield animation is decent for what it is, but he has really bad lag on his rolls and dodge. Um, Whereas Ridley and D3's shield animation, the way they sit inside their shields are really terrible. And so no matter what they do, even if they tilt their shield up, down, up, down, up, down to dodge, quote unquote, dodge the blazing end hits, the last hit will hit them no matter what. Even if they try to parry, the way parry mechanics work is kind of hard to explain, but there isn't enough time for them to parry that last hit to dodge it because they're so big. Um, so the other major time to use Pyra neutral, and this is like it's kind of a hot take, is if
Oh.
you're far behind, like you're down like a stock or two, and your opponent's at like 40%. Sometimes I'll just go Pyra and throw out F smash. It's a really big move. It's a really surprisingly disjointed move.
You
Like,
don't say.
well, it's more disjointed than you think. The move has like 4 or 5 extra hitboxes on the end of it that make it to where it might be this big, the sword, but the hitbox is like well out here. It's kind of hard to show
Yeah,
visually,
Pyra has those notoriously massive hitboxes.
I
but
could. Sorry, Tessa. I could honestly say you could probably use her at the ledge too because she has safe posts with forward tilt and down tilt too. So you can bait um, like if they neutral get up at the ledge, you can use fire to like bait a jump, like down tilt, forward tilt their shield. They try to jump, you swipe them with up air, neutral air, or forward air.
I can see Pyra ledge trapping being good just because like she's so strong. If you get your hit, then you're probably getting a stock at a certain percent. But I think Mythra is better in the sense that she's so fast, everything has zero commitment. I feel like there's a balance there where if your opponent's at mid to low percent, you want to use Mythra just for the sake of knocking them off stage again and again and again, racking up that percent. And then when they eventually hit like, I don't know, 120, then you would go Pyra and you say, okay, now we're actually going to use our brain instead of just smashing buttons and hopefully winning. Now we're going to use our brain with Pyra and we're actually going to go for the kill.
see, there's your first mistake. You don't have to use your brain for either of them.
Oh,
Like you
silly
act like
me.
they take you act like they take brain commitment. They really don't. Like the most brain commitment you'll have to do with Mythra is maybe like figure out like, okay, which combo do I want to go for? But after you know which combo you want to go for, it's just literally just instinct from there. You don't even have to use your brain.
Yeah. I would like to say that you said hot take. Sometimes I like to go Pyra and neutral when I'm behind and go for a dummy F smash or something like that. I
Yeah,
actually do see the sense in going Pyra when you're behind because I feel like everyone looks at Mythra and says, okay, Mythra is the neutral character. She's fast. She has every punish. She's super safe. This is obviously the character you want to use in neutral, your go-to. I can see going Pyra when you're behind because Pyra, you can probably play a lot more defensive and get away with that better than with Mythra just because her sword is so much longer. Like Pyra's sword, kind of a baby sword. Like it's not as long as you want it to be. It feels definitely feels short, you know. But then when you have
yeah.
Mythra, like she gets those 2 extra hitboxes on everything, so it's like it's much easier to keep people out like that with that long range. I personally, I can see the sense in saying, you know what, I'm kind of behind. I'm gonna like take it patient and slow now. I'm gonna go Mythra, and I'm going to make the most of like make the most of the frame data that I have. I'm gonna land with like a fair, keep it super safe where I can. I don't have to move around because I'm waiting for them to come to me. So yeah, no, like I don't think it's a hot take to say you can go Pyra and disadvantage.
I,
See, well thought out argument. I meant literally to just
No, I get that. I get you just
just
meant like just go for a
yeah,
dummy F smash. You're gonna take the stock at
just
50.
yeah,
And you know what? You got to
because
go for the YOLO sometimes. That's the whole Ganondorf playbook. Is I'm gonna
here's
go for an F smash, and if it hits you, it's even now.
here's why that's kind of disgusting. Pyra's F smash has the same length as an initial dash attack would be for her. If you did it perfectly. So the frame data is also very similar for catching landings. So if you can catch someone's land, like a terrible land on an opponent, you can mix up your initial dash attack with Pyra to catch it with a Pyra F smash. I've killed people well under 40% at ledge because what will happen is they'll get hit by the F smash, but they're like, okay, this is a dash attack. I'm going to DI up. If you DI up at all for a Pyra F smash, you go from going like this to just straight into the blast zone.
Yeah.
The amount of stocks I've robbed from just being like, you're at 40%. There is no skill involved in it. It's like Ganon going for Doria, but like the difference is that Ganon has to use it because Ganon really is a bad character, right? Pyra is a good character who just also has Doria. So I consider her F smash a comeback mechanic in itself.
It sounds to me like you just said that Ganondorf is a 499 character with a Doria.
No, Pyra is a 499. Pyra.
Ganondorf has these 499 moves. Why isn't he top tier?
Oh, because he's slow.
Oh yeah, I
range.
forgot about that. But so is Pyra. That doesn't make any sense.
She has range. She cheats.
So oh no, you forgot. Pyra has a down
enough that you can double dare him, and there's just fuck all he can do.
Yeah, no, it's an unfortunate position to be in when you main Ganondorf in this day and age. But also, why would you main Ganondorf in this day and age? You know, Pyra exists, Mythra exists.
Pyra.
People played Ganon in Melee and still like, you know.
Yeah, no, you gotta respect
really
the mean commitment to that type of thing. And you know what? If you want to main Ganondorf, you can make Ganondorf all you want. But we're talking about Aegis and Peach Day. So I mean, yeah. I would say in neutral when it comes to these two characters. I would say Pyra is the one that you like. It's much easier to camp, obviously, because she's slow, and like I was saying before, she kind of if you're using Pyra, you're probably forced to play more defensive. You're gonna be poking with side B. You're gonna be on the retreat. You know, you're gonna be trying to space your aerials. Turnip says no to all of that because Turnip, you can throw the Turnip over the side B. You can throw the Turnip anytime Pyra's in like any kind of defensive option, and if she's hitting a button, it's gonna hit her. And you can confirm off of a Turnip into just about anything. Like, oh, I've hit you with a Turnip. Here's a ground float reverse back air. So now you're off stage. Now I have advantage. And Pyra and Mythra do not like to be off stage. So, I mean, when it comes to Pyra, if you're playing Peach, that's the time to start relying on your Turnips for sure. Mythra is a bit harder because Mythra has that speed that makes it so that if you try to pull a Turnip, you're going to get punished for it very easily because she can just rush up and hit you. But at the same time, I almost want to say, and this is coming from like a less educated position on the character, I'll tell you that. I almost get the feeling of fighting Sheik when I'm playing against Mythra in the sense that, yeah, you're going to hit me a lot more than I hit you. No, I'm not even going to like talk shit or anything. It feels like you're going to hit me a lot more than I hit you, but every time that I do hit you, I'm probably going to make up that gap pretty easily. So it's like, even if you're beating me in neutral, it still feels pretty even against that character.
I mean, I'm not saying that you were talking shit. It's more just like, oh, she's Sheik. I'm like, yeah, we've heard that 1,000 times.
Heard that one before, yeah.
We've heard that across the Milky Way galaxy and back. We could literally make a whole full 1,000 laps around the sun if we wanted to.
Yeah.
As far as like, honestly, this might also be a hot take, but I feel like on certain stages with Peach, unless you're on the platform or something, it's completely impossible to pluck a Turnip without getting hit for it. Like, for instance, Smashville, because if you have complete stage control with Mythra, Peach is definitely not going to pluck a single Turnip until she either gets back that stage control or she gets really lucky and goes on to the top platform. Because literally, the burst range with dash attack is so crazy that it extends all the way to both ledges and back from center stage from Smashville. So it's just like, Peach can't really do anything about that. Yeah. And really, I feel like on any stage, at certain points, I feel like if you get stage control with Mythra, you're not going to pluck a single Turnip versus Mythra.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, Mythra is definitely, you should not be plucking Turnips in neutral against Mythra. I will say, you do get your chance when you get a hit. So it's like, oh, you just sent her flying. It doesn't matter if she goes off stage or not. that's usually your chance to pull a turnip. And I find when you do have a turnip against Mythra, it is very useful. It's more useful than you might think. You have characters like Fox that are really fast, and traditionally you wouldn't go for turnips against them because it's hard to pluck them. But again, when you get the hit, that's your chance to pull the turnip. It's just not as useful in that matchup. But I find because Mythra, even though it's not a huge sword, she still has a sword. So anyone with a sword, turnips really help level that playing field. I find you can, with the turnip, you can really keep Mythra out really effectively because it's just, you can throw it really fast. It's frame 8. It goes really far. Like if you have a turnip and you're committed to playing defensively with that turnip, it ups your defensive walling massively. I find, if you do manage to pull a turnip in that matchup, regardless of the circumstances, try to hold it because you can get a lot of, it's really going to help your walling. It's really helpful when you're playing defensive. Like you can keep a bitch out with that.
I definitely agree that you probably want to hold it. It's just that I feel like versus Mythra, that's going to be super hard to do because of how fast she is. And it's like, oh, okay, I realize you're going to sit and shield and wait until I hit your shield just to throw a turnip. I'm just going to run in and grab you.
Well, that's just it.
Mention, a lot of her aerials, too, are very, safe. So it's really hard to hit her in the first place when the Mythra player is really, making sure that she misses up where she's going to land, fade back aerials, and making sure she keeps her double jump out.
Her aerials are actually I'm disrespecting Aegis players. Her aerials are safe because you can mash them, but they're not safe, right? I think her safest one is -7. So no matter what, you're still eating with Paisley, that's a turnip throw at point blank range.
Turnip F throw is frame 8 out of shield. If it's -7, unless you have a frame 1 option, then probably
shield.
Well, shield.
If you end up inside for whatever reason, that means she's hitting you on frame 3, so frame 5 or whatever.
Because she can Z-drop
is out of shield. Yeah.
I forget everybody's not thinking analytically about where they are in neutral. Everybody just bashes.
Well, but yeah, no. Even with the disjoint, there are times where at least for Paisley, the ones I played, if I'm mashing on your shield as Mythra, I'll just randomly shield, and half the time I catch the out of shield option just on knowing, okay, your shield is about this big, you're gonna want to have to do a panic option, right? And for most Paisley's, that's what it seems to be, is an attempted bear out of shield if I'm behind them, or a grab. And if I get grabbed, I'm in shield, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna cry. But against the bears and stuff like that, it's really easy for me to roll when I would get hit by another float canceled bear, and then I get foresight out of it. But that's if I'm playing grounded, right? If I'm landing on a Paisley shield, I have to dash away immediately. And I don't know if you guys know, but her Mythra's initial dash is the fastest in the game, making it so where I can just kind of mash the analog stick after I use a move on shield to dash away, which effectively makes her safety a lot better. But against Paisley, at least, I found it to where you can't exactly punish it with a turnip, but if I do get hit by a turnip as Mythra, there's not a lot I can do. Having tried everything, the best I can do is SDI up and away and mash air dodge, and sometimes I proc foresight, other times I just air dodge, right? And I think usually I've already eaten about 60% anyway, so there's a way to the reward for getting hit for you is for a Paisley is significantly higher than Mythra, because Paisley has float obviously and her double jump, which is a very big double jump, which makes it to where Mythra's juggling is really good if you don't have escape options, because then she can frame trap you by just double bearing, right?
Yeah.
But Paisley has 2 of the best escape options with float mix-ups and her double jump mix-up.
I'm glad you recognize that, because I feel like every time we do this, I have to explain the Peach magnum opus of escaping juggles is double jump, float, and then microspace away from the opponent who's trying to juggle you, and then just fast fall neutral air dodge and you've landed for free. But I don't think you're doing Mythra credit here, because Mythra is still hella fast. She has that Fox type speed where you can still do frame traps like that. You can still bait that option if you're expecting them to do that, which is a really common option from a competent player. Is you can just do an empty hop, and if they do their fast fall air dodge, you fall much faster. you could still hit them with up airs and juggle them, and now they've run out of their resources, and they're much easier to juggle, and they're forced to go back to ledge now.
Right, but the reason I was saying like the reward on hit is once you can escape a Mythra combo, I have to kind of hard
It's a
reach
bit
you.
more work.
Yeah, and no, Mythra does not work for hits. She works for...
It's a small amount of work that she otherwise wouldn't have had to do.
Yeah.
Shnoork, you give this character way too much credit than you think we actually deserve.
No.
Well, excuse me for assuming you guys are coming at this from a place of competency. Oh, I know how to press the buttons real good.
No, man, Mythra... Dude, I've beaten players so much better than me, and I guarantee you they only won because they thought my moves were safe on shield.
I paid $4.99 so I don't have to be good at this game.
Yes,
It's
sir.
been like this since Smash 4. It's been like this for years now.
Yeah,
Yes,
really.
No, anyway, what I was trying to say is just like, at least with neutral specifically, the reward on hit for a Mythra is about 40% before they can escape it, and that's assuming proper DI, which would be in for a bear ladder and then out for a any other type of combo. But yeah, that's one thing I need to mention is that DI in for bear ladders, or if you DI out, I can get a third one for free. I don't know why her bear was like designed to be the anti-good DI move.
They made it for HBox.
With proper DI. Oh, yikes, man.
No, it's because he plays melee. He DIs wrong. So they were like, here you go. We're going to give you one.
We're going to give you one. Yeah. No, but what else? The reward on hit for Paisley, that was about 60%, assuming I SDI properly, which I don't even think I do because I'm terrible at this game.
SDI will not save you from a Peach combo. Her combos are tight. They're true.
60% is like a minimum competent Paisley gets off detail. There's easily some stuff that's like over 100% if you fuck up.
Yeah. And see, that's why I genuinely think neutral is so much more risky than like anyone puts them credit for, is that their disadvantage is just swap mix-ups, double jump mix-ups, and foresight. But the problem with that is that her foresight is on an air dodge, which air dodge
is a hard commitment.
It's also just the easiest punishable habit in the game. Double jumps out of disadvantage, again, very punishable habit in Ultimate. And like the swap mix-up, it comes out frame 8. Frame 9 is I think it's frame 8. Yeah, frame 8 is the first frame that you're actually invulnerable when you swap. So I have a frame 4 escape option, a frame 8 escape option, a frame 2 escape option, all of which are burning a resource on hit.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, so like the reward on hit, at least in neutral, at like 0 to mid% is so much better for Paisley. But I mean, at the same time, Mythra just kind of wins neutral more.
Yeah, and that's the comparison that I was making with a character who will not be named, in the sense that like you're going to hit me a lot more than I hit you, but when I do hit you, it evens it out pretty easily. Like it's not all that one-sided at all. Like, not to mention, Peach is really good at being able to hold down a defensive gameplay. Like, while Mythra is fast, being fast does not mean you beat Peach. Like, she can handle pretty much everything in this game. There's very few things that Peach can't handle, just period. Like, and that's essentially Shulk, and that's even depending on who you ask. Some people disagree. Some people say that's an even matchup. Some people say slight losing. Some people say it's really losing. I'll be honest with you, I'm not all that invested in the Shulk discourse, but like, I would say neutral is pretty even, pretty solidly even in this matchup, because like, while Mythra is able to invalidate a lot of characters, I just don't think Peach is one of them. I think Peach can lock it down, you know?
Yeah, no. Mythra invalidates neutral by outframe dataing people with her range, but Peach doesn't care about that when she has some of the highest reward off of a single hit in neutral.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I might win neutral 3 times, but then you win neutral once and you have more damage on me than I on you.
Yeah, so. Pretty much. How would we say platforms affect neutral? Because I know when we were talking in the JMU, we mentioned on the stage day, we talked about how platforms give Mythra a lot of extensions. So like, if we're neutral, how do platforms change that damage reward?
You ever see Sephiroth do like snap cancels and snap bounces on platforms?
Can't say I have.
So basically, it's a short hop into his side B to add movement to his attacks, right?
Right.
Just to add an layer of fluidity in his gameplay, right? So imagine that for Mythra, but then instead of doing it with the snap, he doesn't have it. You do it with moves like Lightning Buster and her specifically her swap, because you can be reverse their swap, and it is really tight. But if you do it, you can do things like be reverse swap through someone's shield, and then they do an out of shield option like an up smash that doesn't hit you, and you get a free punish with Pyra. It's mostly just hardcore baiting them. Neutral platforms aren't really that helpful for either of them. Pyra, she gets some bonus in the fact that she can use Blazing End more safely because they have to land on a platform or fast fall through it, and she can go use the platforms to escape easier. But for Mythra, the platforms actually make it to where if she's trying to anti-air, which she's very good at doing because her up B is frame 10, or frame, yeah, it's frame 10, and it's very good at anti-airing. And if she is using it to anti-air, if she messes up, she actually can't fall through the platform unless she starts it above the plat. Meaning,
That's interesting.
so she'll get stuck on the platform and you get hit almost always because you can't do the fast fall at that point. So it's a lot of stuff like that where it aids Pyra a lot more than it aids Mythra, but Mythra's advantage on platforms is
because she can not only extend her juggles, so those juggles you're netting more percent per hit because you can get 3 hits off of it. But then you're also now able to juggle from a higher area, so you're closer to the blast zone. And obviously, if Mythra's having trouble killing, that's going to mean she can probably net a kill a little bit earlier if, it comes to that. But I feel like, I don't know, do you ever kill with Mythra up airs?
Oh yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Like if I get to be about 140% of my opponent as Pyra and I'm just not able to kill, and normally I don't even stick as Pyra at kill percents anyway because Mythra has a lot of really good kill setups like down tilt, up smash, down tilt, lightning buster. But if my opponent's getting to be above 140%, I just can't get a kill. I just go Mythra and fish for up tilt the whole game because past 180%, I just get up tilt up air. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Every DI it kills, and up tilt is it's their DLC move. It really is. It's an incredibly strong move for them. So as really bad player as it sounds, you can just purposefully get them to high percents and then just mash up tilt and win the game. There have been multiple times where I'm like, all right, I can't find a kill as Pyra, swap to Mythra and just up tilt the whole game. And eventually they will just get propped up. And
it's like, I think something a lot of people underestimate is the Mythra kill confirms. And it's like, people saw day one, it's like, oh, Mythra has 0 to deaths on these various platforms. Like, oh, if you get Town and City platform right here, and then you can do a Mythra 0 to death, and yeah, that's pretty cool and all. But it's not the most practical. But the thing is, she still has her practical kill confirms, like you said, down tilt to Lightning Buster, and then the fact that she can do up tilt to up air and it'll just kill. I mean, you still have to respect this character when you are at kill percent. It's not entirely like Martharitis, where it's you're gonna hit me, you're gonna try to kill, but you're not gonna kill.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, to this day, some people still think Mythra can't kill, and I just look at them like, you people are stupid.
Well, it's because they don't do things like this. They don't have JMUs where they talk to big smart people about the matchup, and then they have their prejudices and they have their own beliefs, and they don't go to change that or grow.
Anecdotes are a hell of a drug.
Mythra actually, she has Martharitis, assuming you don't land a confirm, because she won't kill you off a straight hit for a very long time. But her early percent confirms are ridiculous, which is why I think a lot of people don't see her use, because her early percent confirms are like 130, which is like, just hit them with a Pyra aerial, right? But assuming you don't hit a confirm, she really does have Martharitis. Like, it is bad.
Well, what are those confirms to watch out for?
For Mythra, it's mostly just down tilt into so 2 of these are incredibly DI dependent. So one of them is up tilt into a lightning buster charge, and during the charge, the charging hitbox drags down, right? So if you can follow their DI perfectly, you can do up tilt into lightning buster drag down into a lightning buster kill. And you can also do down tilt up tilt into a lightning buster kill. The difference being that the down tilt up tilt one, if they have a frame 1 or 2 escape option, it doesn't work. Otherwise, it will always work. But that only works for like 5%. But it is like actually a true combo. It's just incredibly tight. And then otherwise, it's just things like down tilt into a lightning buster at ledge, which, if done perfectly, which would be jumping ahead of them and hitting the back hit blocks of lightning buster, if done perfectly, you can kill sub 100%. But that is one frame of wiggle room, and if you miss, you die because you plummet off stage. So it's really risky. Normally, it's about 130% when you can just down tilt into lightning buster. She also has down tilt into up smash, which isn't actually true on most of the cast to be a kill confirm. But on characters like Rosalina and Luma, I know it's true. On Bowser, it's true at 274% exactly.
Hey, that sounds pretty
I waste.
useful.
Oh wow.
And if you're really struggling to kill, you got that one kill confirm.
You know what
on
you got to
Bowser.
do? You gotta find that in bracket. I have to get them to 270 so I can get this one kill confirm once, just so it's on stream and people can watch it for years to come.
I know for myself too, I coined a kill thing, but as I've learned over time, this specific thing only works on spacies. So you can do ledge jump into lightning buster and kill people with it, but it only works on spacies just specifically because of because of the way they hop off the ledge when you trump them. Everybody else, it's supremely DI dependent to where if they DI in, they'll get hit by it. If they DI out, they usually escape it. And then there are just some characters that it just does not work against at all. Like Link, it will never work against Link at all.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like with Mythra, there's a lot of circumstantial stuff when it comes to any kind of kill confirm, and I'm really not at all surprised that there's a bunch of character specific stuff too. So yeah, definitely seems like that kind of character. We've talked about so far we've just naturally spoken about. I think we've covered neutral pretty well. We talked about Mythra advantage when it comes to juggling. We talked about combos, yeah. What about edge guarding and ledge trapping? Are you more likely to edge guard or ledge trap with this character? Actually, you know what? I feel like I can answer that one because the answer is both. Because I understand that Mythra and Pyra can just they have decent enough airspeed, Mythra especially, but obviously Pyra can do it too, where they can just drop down and throw an aerial or two and then just go right back to ledge like it's nothing, like nothing happened. And I'll tell you this from what I've seen, because I've seen it in action before. It's actually I'm going to make a prediction here, and I'm going to say that's actually really good for edge guarding Peach because the trick with her is you want to hit her from the side. If you're above her, she can contest you with up air, which is a sword. It's a massive disjoint all the way above her. It's a big rainbow, and she can up B early. Up B mix-ups are really, really strong with Peach because up B is frame 6, so you can kind of fire it off whenever. If you see your opponent even like inch and you're like, oh, he's going to try to edge guard me, you can just up B early and you can beat them whatever they're trying to do. It can be like Captain Falcon down air. I'm just going to up B through you. I don't care because my up B is insane. But that covers above you, and her main way to contest to the side is forward air. And forward air is frame 19, and that's really slow. So yeah, no, like if you're Mythra and I'm recovering a bit low from ledge, you can just swipe down and just swap me away, and that's how I lose my double jump. That's how I lose my float. That's what makes it so that now I have to just up B and hope that I can make it to the ledge, you know? So yeah, no, I think that's going to be a really strong option for Mythra when it comes to edge guarding Peach. Because yeah, no, like that's literally just edge guarding Peach 101, hit her from the side. So
in my experience playing this game, I have found something that I think is not okay. Mainly because I don't think anyone really abuses it too much. Mythra, I shouldn't say I found it, but I think I was one of the first players to actually use it in bracket and start actually optimizing it. Mythra's up B is frame 10, like I said. And also she has the variant Chroma Dust, which sends the little sparkles and particles out in front of her, right? That launch angle is terrible. It sends you nearly horizontally out every single time. And it starts in front of her and above her. Meaning what I can do is I can run off stage against a Peach and use it. If you try to go for double jump, you get hit by it. If you air dodge, you get hit by the Chroma Dust. If you were to float, you get hit by the up B. If you try to contest it with fair, you get hit by the up B. Your only option is to float away and then immediately try to parasol, because if you don't parasol, you still get hit by the Chroma Dust particle. The only issue with this is that if you call it out and you fair me early, their wall tech is terrible. because how linear the recoveries are, making it to where normally I won't snap back to ledge unless I immediately buffer my up B. But if I buffer my up B, I usually go above ledge anyway, and so the parasol will hit me. But yeah, that is something I think is really good for them. To where if I know you burned at least your double jump or your float, I run off stage and chroma dust you, and unless you hardcore call it out with parasol, I will win 9 times out of 10. I think you can actually. I think if I hit the last possible rising hitbox of chroma dust, it isn't true. Like it isn't true into the particles, so you can just immediately parasol hit me out of it. Which, if I hit that, that's my fault because I did it way too early.
Yeah, that's really specific.
Yeah, it's really you'd have to be attempting to like get an air dodge gimp or something. But yeah, no. There are a lot of ways to cheese people with that, but I feel like in this matchup specifically, if I can just hit you off stage with Mythra or Pyra and take one of your resources, I can just run off stage and chroma dust you. And I'm still trying to get used to it with my friend who plays Peach. I don't hit it often at all. I'll be honest, because I'm still getting out contested. But the times I do hit it, it's almost a guaranteed stock because I just swapped to Pyra and Dare Beeg.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. What about so I have definitely seen the clips with Mythra going for the up B for the edge guard, but I definitely feel like I haven't seen it all that much. But let's talk about
I feel like
oh no, go ahead, yeah.
I agree with Shasta though. Like I feel like people should do it way more often. Not even just against me, just in general, because it's just like it's so good just against people who like are way too like slow off stage. They try way too hard to like stall off stage, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna go low. I'm gonna wait for them to come outside and chase me, and then all of a sudden, oh no, they ran out. Oh no, I got hit with the yuppie. I lost my jump. Oh no, I'm in a terrible
Oh
spot.
no,
I have to
suddenly
use
this is
this
a
jump.
bullet hell.
Exactly, pretty much. And even then, you don't even have to go off stage just to try to snipe people with Chroma Dust or Ray of Punishment. You can literally just stand on the ledge, up B, and try to hit them with Chroma Dust. And again, if they're too patient off stage where they're like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and wait, they'll get hit by it like 90% of the time because they're not always not ready for it. I don't think I've seen any Aegis player in bracket, besides probably Cosmos, really even go for something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was about to say it sounds like the type of thing where if you're going to drop down and go for chroma dust, that sounds kind of slow, and it seems like if you see that and you're the one who's recovering, you can just be like, well, I'm just going to rush to ledge and I'm probably going to escape that. But if you can do it from on stage, then that kind of invalidates that. But even then, I mean, if you're doing it from on stage, you're going up and then you're firing the shots down and at an angle. I feel like you're not covering right below ledge, so I still feel like the solution is, just rush to ledge.
And there are ways to boot that out because she also has Ray of Punishment, and that angle is much steeper down,
Right.
making it. I can bait a run off stage, and then immediately do Ray of Punishment, and that can two frame, for whatever reason. It's a really big hitbox. I mean specifically the explosion can two frame, but there's a lot of ways you can cheat stuff like that. It's just. Do you remember old Joker gun?
Yep. That was the 3.
Yeah, it's basically the mix up between going for a jump down gun and going for a jump gun, basically. Slightly different timings, slightly different areas covered.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about the Mythra ledge trapping game? Because I feel like, or even Pyra Mythra, 'cause, we did mention that you can go for ledge traps with Pyra as well. How is the typical ledge trap game? Like, what would you typically go for if you've got your opponent at ledge and now you want to keep them there?
So Mythra's grab, first of all, Mythra standing at roll distance at ledge is really strong because she can just on reaction grab the neutral get up, and then fairy jump get up. But there is a couple of small things that she can do to beat roll. For example, if she's standing a little bit ahead of roll distance, she can use Lightning Buster on reaction to catch roll because the back hitbox will hit them. So you don't even have to move. There's literally no error. You just stand in the right place and you shield. And the moment you see them roll, drop shield Lightning Buster. That's good for kill percents. You probably shouldn't use it before kill percents, but at kill percents, if they do tend to roll, rather than risking whiffing your kill option, you can just stand still and wait for them to roll into your lightning buster. That can also hit neutral get up because the multi-hit on shield, it is -20, so it is very punishable if you do commit to the shield. But if you panic, let go of shield, it also will hit you. But other than that, it's a lot of grabbing.
It's funny you mention that because I feel like with Peach, sometimes if I'm just sitting there, I'm just gonna commit to ledge trapping, I'm just gonna grab you. Like the simple fact that like pivot grab is so strong in this game, you can literally just option select, neutral get up, and roll so easily with it. And it's like, oh, I got the grab. Guess what? You're off stage again. Haha, lol, come back. And I'm gonna grab you again. Yeah, no, it's so easy to just mess around with grab like that. But I don't know how many frames is like. Do you know how much lag you have on grab if you whiff it with Mythra?
Enough to where you are able to be. I don't know the exact frame counters because normally I don't.
What I expected.
I don't go for a lot of whiffed grabs. Like normally, I'm genuinely scared to whiff a grab with Mythra because of how fast she is. Because if you go for dash grab, normally you just grab through their bodies because of how freaking fast she goes. Stuff like that. So the best thing you can do for her is to genuinely only grab if you make them panic shield and like hard panic shield, because then the only way for you to whiff is to be bad at the game.
And you can't be bad at the game when you're playing Mythra and Pyra because you paid.
Right.
You paid to not be bad.
Right. Yeah. But no. It's enough to where I've been hit with a fast tilt. So I know it's like around 10 frames of lag. I could probably look it up, but it's not a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's more the fact that it's easy to whiff with Mythra due to her initial dash length. Sometimes you can undershoot it because it's like it feels so much bigger than it actually is because it's fast. So I undershoot it a lot, but also I paid to play this game.
Yeah.
But no, with Pyra, it's a lot easier to hit her grab because her initial dash is so bad that it's amazing. Because specifically for how she wants to play, it's really good. On any other character, it'd be terrible, right? But because she has such a big disjoint and such a big and such good shield safety, rather, that the how short it is makes it super good. Because then I can just be like, okay, I need a microspace. I don't even need to walk. I can just flick my analog stick and then do my tilt, right? Which also makes it to where doing things like F tilt on every single get up on reaction is doable. But yeah, that's just me.
So I guess what I'm hearing is, for you personally at least, when it comes to ledge trapping, is with Mythra, you want to go for grabs so you can reset the situation a lot. And then with Pyra, you're more willing to go for those tilts because it's a lot easier to react because of that initial dash.
Yeah.
And those tilts are also much more likely to kill.
All of Mythra's grabs have a 20 frame and lag.
Right.
Gotcha.
Like okay. Minimum 20. Like normal grab, it's out on 6 and it's 36 total frames. So you got 30 frames and lag.
Yeah.
Dash grabs like active on 11, 12, you're at 43, so you got like 31 frames. So they all end up in the like 20 plus frames of end lag.
Gotcha.
That's hitting a lightning buster on shield, which is deceptively safe. But you can still like hit that with a really fast tilt, like I said.
Right.
Which with them you don't want to whiff, because they're, as we said, their off stages could be better. It could be a lot better. You can get gimped with this character really easily, assuming you've lost double jump. And especially in this matchup, if I get hit at ledge, I've died super early because someone C-drop turnip me and I grabbed my double jump and then I'm just like, all right, time to not snap to ledge when I go for up B.
It's literally a little Mac up B, where it's like if you're just an inch away from the ledge, you're not snapping ledge.
Yeah. In other matchups, I can sometimes sacrifice it because they don't really have the tools to cheat me. But like against the Diddies and the Robs, and especially Peach's turnips, a whiffed grab at ledge past like 60-70% can be converted into a stock really well.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is this ledge trapping game is also really grounded. So grabs and tilts. What do you do when your opponent starts jumping?
So I'm a weirdo. I'm gonna lead with that because
Go on.
I I like to do things that are a little unorthodox if my opponent jumps. Rather than punishing the jump, I just choose to punish the landing, just because of how fast Mythra is. And then if my opponent is jumping with and I'm on Pyra, I like to make them, because obviously the general rule of thumb is you don't want to stay at ledge any more than you have to because it's constant added percent and you're the one having to play the game, right? Whoever is the person sitting and ledge trapping, they don't have to play the game anymore. They're just playing a reactive hit you for trying to do something, right?
Yep.
Pyra's really good at that. And so you can get people to get really scared. Like, there have been times where I have dared people's shields drifted out and F smashed because I knew they were going to try to grab me or throw me back off stage, or to try to throw me off stage, right? It's things like that where I could just go for an IRR bear or go for a fair on the jump from ledge, but I'd much rather scare my opponent than actually punish their habits, because what I've noticed with Pyra specifically, because Mythra's reward isn't that big at ledge, I'll be honest. She can get some gimps with Chromodust, but it's not as big as like Pyra's is, obviously. So what I do is I try to scare my opponent into making one mistake I know they're going to make without a doubt, and then hard punish it for an incredibly early stock. And I think she can get away with that because her shield safety is a lot better than anyone gives it credit for because of the range.
That's fair. I do feel like I would be more mentally challenged when it comes to Mythra's ledge trapping, just because it's like she can react to everything. Like, oh, jump is unreactable, but guess what? When you do jump and she does react, she's able to close that gap much faster and much more effectively, and she can hit you off stage again and bat you off stage. Now you have to do this whole thing again, and there's that wear down. But like what you're saying, Pyra is a threat. The moment you have Pyra out, there's some fear factor there. It's not absurd to say, like, yeah, no, I want to go for a hard read, a hard confirm, so that I can just steal these early stocks. Because that's kind of your goal with anyone in this game, is like, what is the most efficient way that I can finish this stock? What is the earliest I can finish a stock, you know? But there's also something to be said for that mental game. It's like, okay, maybe I'm not finishing the stock now, but by doing this alternative punish where I'm reading this option and I'm punishing it in a less effective way, I've now gotten into my opponent's head, and now they're terrified of doing anything, and that's going to make it much, much easier to take those early stocks for the rest of the entire game, for the rest of the set, you know, or for the rest of the first of 10. And so, yeah, there's something to be said for that. I'll tell you that.
But optimally, you can just F tilt on reaction with Pirate Ledge, and then anytime they jump, you can just go for a fair.
Yeah,
because her fair basic is just F tilt in the air.
Gotcha. I can say that for Peach, her ledge trapping is really strong, and it's also, because she has float, it's kind of like one of the most unique mechanics in this game is being able to float with Peach. And because of that, I feel like you will never find two people who ledge trap the same way with this character. Like, personally, I ledge trap nice and grounded. I'll use my dash dance a lot. I'll go for a lot of grabs. I'll do empty ground floats just to microspace, and then I'll run in and do like a ground float aerial or something. But there's a lot of people, like, honestly, I can tell you that I don't ledge trap. I ledge trap differently on different stages. Like when I'm on Lilat has that notorious slope on the sides. It makes it much harder to do a grounded ledge trap, so I'll just jump up and float kind of in the air, and I'll drift in and out, and then I can punish neutral get up with forward air, or I can punish roll with just fast fall to grab or something like that, you know? Like Peach ledge trapping is really really volatile. It's really like, you can change it up in any which way you want. You can incorporate platforms to it. I will say that basically when it comes to ledge trapping, like getting off of the ledge against Peach, it's very much the type of thing where it's like, yeah, no, this is the hard part of this game, because you have to basically work around your opponent. Just like you were saying, is now you're the one who have to play the game, you know, and that everything that comes along with that. So
I feel like Turnip Jumping adds another layer of you got to make a decision and you got to make it quickly, because if I have a Dot Eyes or a Stitch Face and I Turnip Jump you, it's basically like eating a smash deck.
Yeah, Turnip Jumping is really cool. Basically what that is you have a turnip in hand, you run off to trump them. Instead, you Z-drop it, and then you trump, and then they bounce into the turnip, and then you can just jump into back air, and it's a super free punish.
Oh, man.
So it's basically, imagine you're getting ledge trumped and then back aired, but now add another 10%. And if it's a stronger turnip, it can be 15 to 30%.
And Stitch Face will hold you in place and make the bear just easy.
Yeah.
So it's like 50+% if you hang too long.
Or even if I don't think you're going to hit an option right away, we can just go for the Turnip Jump.
Yeah, exactly. If you stall too long, that invincibility doesn't affect the turnip. The turnip gets you.
Yeah, very strong ledge trapping game. And then when it comes to off stage, I mean, specifically against this character, really all you need is turnips. Because you can just start throwing turnips. You don't even have to look. You can just pull turnips and cycle through them and throw them, and it's every single time. And there's still a good chance you're going to hit Pyra and Mythra because their recovery is just they don't have the options. They don't have the flexibility to be able to work around that because there's a lot of the time where it's like, here's a turnip, just so happens to be exactly where I need to go in order to make it to ledge. And if I don't pass through that turnip, I'm going to die. And if I do pass through that turnip, I'm also going to die because of the turnip. So it's like, yeah, no, turnips, if you're off stage with Pyra and Mythra, expect turnips. If your best hope is to make it under the stage on like a sloped stage, under the stage so you're like away from the turnips and then hug the stage and hit the ledge. But even then, Peach has 2 frames. Down tilt will 2 frame, and then that can lead to forward smash at lower percents, forward air at higher percents, which can also kill. Not to mention F smash, the golf club, is a literal sword, and that will also 2 frame. Yeah, no, she has options. Forward air 2 frames. Forward air catches a lot of people by surprise. That's the fun one. Where like sometimes if I'm ledge trapping and I'm over here and they're hanging at ledge and they don't know what to do, their invulnerability runs out. I'm just gonna drift forward and hit them with forward air because that's the salt maker. That's the one where it's like, ooh, no, that they didn't like that. That's the one where you hit them with that and then they SD twice because they don't want to deal with your shit on the smash.
They're expecting you to ground float dare, and then you just fucking it's over.
Oh, I'm dead. Oops.
Dude, that's yeah. No, I'm not surprised, honestly.
There was someone made a list on Twitter the other day where it's like every character's cheater move, and they put Peach, it's neutral air, and I was just sitting there like, no. The neutral air is her combo move. Like, it's pretty short range, it's useful, it's good and all. Her cheater move is very much forward air because that forward air, it reaches above her, it reaches out in front of her, and it reaches below her. It reaches so far below her that you can 2 frame with it. Like
and
every single time.
A disjoint.
Yeah, it's a disjoint.
Little disjoint. You don't think it is, but that crown doesn't have a hurt box.
Yeah, no, it's every single time you see Peach cheese, any kind of Peach jank, like, oh, well, how did that hit me? It's always forward air.
Good to know I don't have a hurt box whatsoever.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. No, yeah. Recovering against Peach is generally hard because of turnips, but definitely with Pyra and Mythra, it's an element harder. I understand that Mythra's up B is a lot better. Pyra's up B is a lot better at snapping to ledge though.
Yeah. Pyra's magnet hands are insane.
Yeah, she's got those Smash 4 magnet hands.
Oh, good lord, dude.
Which I think it goes without saying is probably your best bet in any kind of recovery situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the only time.
What's that?
I said the only time you never even go for like a Mythra recovery that you could go for Pyra for would be for like reverse edge guarded people because they overshot and then you just get a chroma dust and so you get red ledge for free.
Right. Yeah.
Or like.
One of my favorite edge guards is to just up throw a turnip and pull another one and watch what they do. And I've hit people with 2 turnips, just whack, and they just drift away and their soul leaves their body.
Yeah, no, the up throw turnip is like, I'm going to use this for pressure later. I'm not going to use it now. You don't know when it's going to come. You know I've thrown it up, but now it's off screen. You can't see it. It's coming. You know it's coming. You can't see it.
I can't count how many people will try to drift through the area, not realizing, like, I'm waiting for you to cross that threshold. The answer was to tank the turnip. Any other direction kills you.
Oh, I do that all the time where it's like I'll throw a turnip and I'm like, you're only going to survive if you hit that turnip. That turnip is your like survival condition. If you don't make the cautious decision to get hit here, I'm going to kill you. And it works every single time.
It's like if they dodge, you're in end lag for so long, I'm going to get you with that. If like the answers to get hit and they just never do it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny. Continuing on our like Peach advantage part, I think we talked about Mythra advantage entirely. I think the only part that we have left to cover is Peach when it comes to juggling, and that is up air. I mentioned earlier, up air is really kind of busted. It's a sword. She does the imagination rainbow. It's way above her. It's got multiple hitboxes, so like, yeah, no, it's gonna catch you and it's gonna hit you. It's incredible for juggling. It will sometimes, even if you're like doing an extended juggle, you've staled it like 7 times. Sometimes you're just high enough that it kills. So, yeah, no. We did also mention when it comes to Pyra and Mythra, you have your options for landing, and that's like you can down B and switch, which it doesn't freeze them in the air like Pokemon Trainer. They'll just keep going, and you get some invulnerability there. I think the main thing when it comes to juggling this character is Mythra's Foresight, which is a frame 2 escape option. And it more often than not, she's going to get a punish off of it just because it's just DLC and busted in 499.
Yeah.
So unless your up airs are like confirmed and true, you really don't want to overextend on that string. Your best bet when it comes to juggling this character is trying to bait out that air dodge, because then you can get like a free up smash and it's a sweet spot. You can get another up air if that's not really viable. And the mix up that most Peach players don't really use is up B, because up B will also kill crazy early off the top, especially if you're already at the blast zone. So it's definitely a yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
At 0, if you're both, you can see the icon instead of the character. At 0, up B will kill them. It'll just drag them in there.
Because it carries you so far, and then the base knockback alone, it's not crazy from the ground. You'll look at it and it's like, oh, it's just sent me this far. But when you're right at the blast zone, that's gonna kill. So up B will cheese a lot of stocks off the top. And I would say for Pyra and Mythra, definitely have more options for escaping juggles in most characters, but Peach's juggle game is definitely one to watch out for. I do think that like when it comes to juggling, I'm not gonna get most of my percent on Mythra while juggling. Pyra maybe, definitely not Mythra, just because. Yeah, because like Pyra's slower, and like if she wants to contest it with an aerial, yeah, they're huge and they're massive. They have these hitboxes, but I'm faster, so I'm probably still gonna make the hit. Probably, I'm confident that I can get the up air before she can get a down air or something 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah.
But Mythra is definitely the harder one. Mythra is definitely. She's much better equipped for dealing with that. And I think that even goes without saying. I don't even think we need to address it because it's just so obvious, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I think we've covered just about everything we need to here. We're coming up on time for our podcast. We usually go for about an hour, but I know that when we talked about stages this week, you had some stuff to say about various stages for Pyra and Mythra. I know you said Smashville and FD were like meh stages. There's not really any reason to go to them as Pyra and Mythra. You don't really get anything out of it. You'd much rather go to somewhere like Battlefield with your triplats. Yoshi's over Battlefield because it's just smaller blast zones. You're gonna kill way earlier with Pyra, and then Mythra. Oh, guess what? Now she can actually reliably kill because it's much smaller stage and blast zones. You also had something to say about Town and City. Why don't you just, you know what? I'm talking too much. I'll let you do the talking. What do you think? Tell me about the stage picks for Pyra and Mythra.
No, you were right. Town and City, okay. Yoshi's is their best stage, but Yoshi's is probably going to get removed from our stage list.
I'm going to stop you right there. Just, there you go. Perfect. Continue.
Yeah, I saw it. But Yoshi's is probably going to get removed from the stages anyway. But Yoshi's is currently our best stage that's available to us, mainly because Mythra kills at 30, and it's true. If she landing up airs you on Yoshi's anywhere on stage, and you're 30% to about 40, I can just keep up airing you on DI, and it kills off the top. Even if you DI out away, I can just jump on them too fast. But yeah, at 30% to about 40% on most characters, that is just a true combo. You can't escape it. That gets banned first normally. Town and City is a really good one, mostly because the side platforms on either layout are really good for Mythra to camp. Like, say someone's having fun.
That's something people don't think about enough. I know it was the Kagaribi tournament. I remember seeing Zachary and T or whatever, and I was just like, wow, Zachary's playing Wario. I don't even think it was against T. It was just Zachary. He's playing Wario. He's camping that side platform like a pro. And I was just like, wow, you know what? Peach can do it better, I'll tell you that. But yeah, no, like those side platforms are really good for camping just because they're so high up. They're at that perfect height where if you want to contest it, you have to commit really hard to going up there. And by that point, by the time you get up there, the opponent can just run around you, no problem, easy. Yeah, no, you have to. When it comes to any kind of camping, those platforms, those are the camping platforms. Those are the campgrounds, open year round.
And then on the other transition, the FD like transition, I can also camp on the off-stage platforms because if they do mess up an attempted hit on me, I can go for something like F throw runoff lightning buster and it kills you at 0. I can go for something like down throw fair, which will normally kill you at 0. I can go for a lot of cheese on those offstage platforms if you try to contest me, which is why I think Town and City is super good and why I normally don't even play Pyra on Town. Because I can, anytime I don't like the game state, I just go to the side platforms and just sit with Mythra and wait for them to make a mistake and get a free kill normally. Okay. Mythra has a 0 to death on Town and City. If you do this aerial at this time and you hit this combo and just hold in, it doesn't work if they hold in. I don't even think it's down tilt IRR bear, and that's not true if they hold in, right? So none of the
I know there is another one. I
yeah.
mean, if you want to be Roy for a second, you could always do neutral air and hope. Like if you're on, it's so situational. But if you're specifically on Town City, you're on where the platforms are on both sides, and you manage to neutral air someone on while they're close to the ledge, you can lightning buster them out of the neutral air, and you can kill them at like 40, 50. It's so good. You can feel like Roy for a second, like, yeah, I worked for that one.
But yeah, no, that's why I like Town more than Yoshi's personally, is because more often than not, I don't have to play Pyra on Yoshi's, but sometimes I get forced to just because of the game state. On Mythra, I should never have to play Pyra if I don't want to. Just because if I ever feel like the game is in a bad state for me, I just go to one of the side platforms and I sit and I wait. Other than that, triplats are okay. Specifically, like, I don't really consider it a triplat, but like Lilat and Lilat, I think, is a terrible stage for them, but that's because no
I'm
matter
going
where
to stop you
you
right there. Is that
Mhm.
because you think it's a bad stage for them, or is that because you don't like the stage?
Yes, both. I already had problems with Lilat, but then on top of it, there's always a platform above you. And so like, yeah, you're always gonna get rewarded for getting hit, for landing a hit, but you get hit really hard on Lilat with Aegis. Like that is a really bad stage for them. The ledges are really crappy for them to are really crappy for Pyro ledge trapping. She can hit Dare more often because there's like not a ledge to grab onto, but there's no reason to go to if you want a stage with really cheesy platforms that has slants, just go Yoshi's. And if you're playing it specifically to play the platforms, I think it's really good for a solo Pyro, right? And in a state where you don't plan on playing Mythra, it's probably it's probably pretty good because you're able to do things like blazing end your mind away, because the platforms normally can save you. But if you have intents on playing Mythra, you can usually just go Yoshi's or Town for the same effect.
Right.
But then also personally, and this is very personal because I've seen players take Aegis on Town and do well, recovering feels awful. Like it feels really bad for me. Mostly because of the ledges. Where even if I'm at the height where I should snap with Mythra, sometimes I just don't. Which is like player error. It doesn't feel good personally.
Yeah.
Which is why I tend to not take them. Till I let.
I
But
think
for
we
solo,
also talked. We mentioned that someone mentioned that Kalos is also good for Aegis because of those platforms. Kind of the same with like Town and City, where it's like you can camp those platforms. You can also use them to, if your opponent's off stage, to extend your threat range by jumping out and chase them into the blast zone, stuff like that. And there's obviously the YOLO Mythra side B, which is always a threat, but I feel like on Kalos.
I honestly feel like it's only good for Mythra. If you want to go to Kalos and you're like one of those weird people who solo Pyra, that's a terrible stage for you. You are not going to like that stage at all as Pyra. Honestly, if you go to Kalos, you better expect to stay Mythra the majority of the game because if you try to go Pyra on Kalos, it's probably not going to work out the majority of the time whatsoever versus new.
Right, because it's mostly FD. You have these high platforms on the sides, which are a little bit awkward in the sense that they have their uses, but like they're not doing you much good in neutral. They're more so like you can use them for camping, or you can use them if you're trying to jump off and go into the edge guard, do a deep edge guard, or you can use them, I guess, if you're trying to retreat and make a little bit of space, you're a little nervous on the ground, you can jump up to the platform for security reasons or something like that. But I can see Pyra not getting all that much off that stage, except maybe down airs because of the wall.
I feel like what the funniest thing about the whole stage thing is like I have not been involved in stage picking for the Aegis in a long time because I honestly, for me personally, I don't really give a shit about stages aside from FD. I hate FD personally. Like I utterly hate that stage. But everything else I don't really care about. I'm just like, I'll adapt. I'll get over it. This is what happens when you've been playing since Brawl. You literally just learn to get over shit, and you're like, whatever. Because like, if you would have asked a bunch of Aegis players like at the beginning of the era, most people would have said the triplet sucked ass, and they would have said Small Battlefield is the best stage for them. That has completely changed as far as I've seen.
I feel like the dialogue was always triplats are really good for Mythra.
No, if you were around during the early era, you would have seen a ton of people, including myself, say that Small Battlefield is the best and triplats are really bad. They're icky. No. There were, but nowadays it's like, oh yeah, no, that's not true anymore.
I think we've missed PS2. I feel like every time we do our JMU podcasts, I forget about PS2 because it's just like it's that universal starter. It's so easy to forget. What do you guys feel about PS2?
Real big stage. A lot of room for me to just ignore you playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is okay. I used to play Joker, and PS2 is Joker's best stage, so I'm really familiar with it, which is probably also why I think it's one of their top 3 stages. I think it goes Yoshi's Town, PS2, then Battlefield. Most Aegises will tell you that Battlefield comes before PS2, but I just love the way PS2 feels in general, because it gives me a lot of room to think as Mythra. And if you let a player with that kind of frame data think, you're probably going to have a bad time. And then if I ever have to play Pyra, really open stage, but blast zones are not as open. So if I have a lot of room to think with Pyra and Mythra, and if I do get my hits with either of them, it's big damage and early kills. The only downside to it is because it is such an open stage, there's a lot of room to have to control rather than a lot of room you could control, because they, at the end of the day, they are sorties, and sorties need to space, meaning I need to micromanage something other than just the game state. I need to also micromanage the room I have to play with and the room I can control, which at times has caused me to lose stocks at high percent situations where I've had center stages Pyra, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to punish this approach in, and I improperly misstage it, or misspace it, and because I misjudged the amount of room I had to work with, and because of that, I ate enough smash, or I ate a hard punish, stuff like that. That's like the one thing about stories that's always been kind of up in the air about Ultimate is, should they focus more on spacing or playing with their space? And I think for most stories it is just spacing, but for Pyra and Mythra specifically, Pyra, it is maintaining the space you have, because she's a zoner. Like, she is a tried and true zoner.
I can see it because like she has the range, she has like a side B that she can, it's a projectile, and yeah, no, like she's the type of character where she doesn't need space because all of her hitboxes are essentially the same, and they're just huge, and she has all the range, and so yeah, no, she doesn't have to worry about making the space work for her because she can just make she just make her opponent try to do the spacing themselves and then punish them for it. Yeah. So,
and she really is like a tried and true zoner. She's not a smash zoner. She's a true fighting game zoner because she does not have those broken boxing tools, those really broken fast get out of jail free cards. She has a frame rate escape option, and she has, if you want to count it as a boxing tool, F tilt. The only problem with F tilt is that it is minus 10 on shield no matter where you hit it. So at point blank range, that's a grab.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we covered the Pyra and Mythra stage picks. I haven't mentioned anything with Peach because I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory for the most part, because it's like she doesn't like slopes, and that's kind of the part that needs explaining. Is when it comes to slopes, if you're floating and you move into the slope, it cancels your float and you land with lag. So if you're trying to do aerials and you like say I'm on the low side of the slope and I try to a ground float back air into the slope, my hitbox isn't coming out. I'm landing with lag, and it's a super easy punish. So like, yeah, no, Peach players hate slopes. You can play around it, and I personally
On the other side,
Go
if
ahead.
you go forward,
Yeah.
it will increase how long the aerial's out, and you can miss your auto cancel window too. So it's like both sides of the slope suck ass.
Wow.
I will
okay.
say that you can play around it, and I personally have a lot of I've put a lot of time and experience into playing around slopes, and it's really not the deal breaker that most people think it is, but it really is. Most Peach players personally do not play with slopes. Like they will automatically ban Lilat and Yoshi's just because of that. But other than that, like you're gonna see, this character is generally good on every stage. She has no complaints other than slopes, but even that is kind of player by player basis. You have mad lads like me who will absolutely take you to Lilat if you don't ban it, just because I'm like, you probably don't like Lilat, so I'm just we're gonna do that. No one's having fun today, you know.
Lilat is good for Peach because a normal thrown turnip, when they're hanging, if they ever get to ledge vulnerability, like they just sit there and try and make an option, you can just throw the turnip gently and they have to redecide their whole thing. It's kind of a cool stage for that one.
Yeah, it'll hit under ledge. Yeah, it's a fun one.
Like,
Personally, yeah, no, I
yeah.
like Lilat myself. There's a lot of things, a lot of aspects about it that work for Peach. Like the platforms are all low, so she can shark them really well with up air. They just work really well for her. Yeah, no, like if you learn Lilat, Peach can be good on Lilat. Most people can't be bothered to learn Lilat, so it's a moot point.
Lilat's the one stage where Peach actually cares really hard about stage control, because you don't want to be controlling the fucking slants.
Yeah.
If you can control the platforms and center stage on Lilat, you got her made in the shade.
Other than that, yeah, no, like I've heard Peach players say they like Smashville because they like the smaller stage, they like the platform, they have really good movement around platforms like that. Same with Battlefield, you have really good movement on platforms because of JCFF and float and stuff like that. You can control those platforms really effectively. You can bounce around them all day long. You can go off of a platform and right back onto it and land with an aerial if you want to. You can do all sorts of things with
Short
platforms.
hop, jump cancel, fast fall into nair.
Yeah, like you can if you're on a platform, you can be in shield or something. You can short hop, jump cancel, fast fall, and you can be through that platform in like 10 frames. You know, it's really fast. She has really fast platform drops because of that type of thing.
You can also nair, and it's like it's gonna hit the auto cancel window.
You can do you can do aerials so that you put the hitbox inside of the platform, so you fall through the platform, but you're still high enough that you're hitting someone, you're hitting their shield, and if their shield is just a little low, you're poking their feet. Yeah, no, platforms just generally work for Peach. I probably wouldn't take Pyra and Mythra to Triblast just because I feel like that's good for Mythra. But yeah, no, generally speaking, stage agnostic. She'll do well on any stage. Peach stage picks always comes down to what does my opponent not like, and in this matchup, that's going to be Smashville and FD. A lot of Peach players prefer FD over most other stages just because they're like, oh, this stage doesn't mess with my combos. It's like a combo purist kind of stage, you know. So it's very much preference based. Everyone has a different opinion on different stages and different platform layouts. So yeah, no, you're gonna have a hard time counterpicking stages if they ban Yoshi's. It sounds like, just because, yeah, no, like they're good on just about every stage.
Yeah, no, actually, I think the optimal ban, if you with 3 bans, assuming Lilat, your optimal ban layout would be Yoshi's Town and Battlefield, because then my next 2 best stages would be PS2 and it would be PS2 or Smashville, and then either one of them is like PS2's bigger small battlefield, and small battlefield there's biplats, but I can't really kill off the top anymore with Mythra, so I might get one extension, but you guys still get really broken combos off your hits, whereas I get slightly better combos. And it's neutral. essentially. Like,
Yeah.
you can ban all 3 of our better stages, and we can only ban 1 of your better stages, realistically. Because normally we're just going to take away FD. Assuming three bans, I would ban FD, Lila, and Kalos. Because I don't like Smashville, but I really don't like Lilat. But normally they probably ban FD, Kalos, and Smashville.
Yeah. Well, I think that about sums it up. I think we've covered everything we need to today. Advantage, disadvantage, neutral. We've covered our stages. Does anyone have any closing thoughts that they want to mention now? Any last points before we finish up the podcast for the day?
None that I really have.
No? Everyone's satisfied?
What?
I said no. Everyone's satisfied. We're all good then.
Yeah, I think we're all good.
Yeah, I think we definitely. Yeah, I think we've covered it well. I think we heard a lot of hot tips from Shasta. I think there's a lot of information that can be gleaned here. Thank you everyone for coming on. Thank you Shasta for joining us from Aegiscord and regular guests Foophy and Crown. And thank you to all of our viewers. We're live every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can come back same time, same place. We're gonna put a VOD up on YouTube. Don't be afraid to check it out. You can watch that any old time. We have all of our VODs in that playlist. It's pretty handy, pretty convenient when we do our JMU stuff because it's like, oh, I need a resource on Aegis real quick. Boom, you got the VOD right there, and you can hear us talking for an hour and 15 minutes to our heart's content and finishing out the matchup for you perfectly. But I've been Shnoork. This has been the Paisycord Podcast, and thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully, you'll join us again next week.